Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome dear learners, I am Dr. Manisha Goswami working as an assistant professor at Institute of Business Management, GLA University, Mathura. Today we are going to start our lecture number 7, and under this lecture we will try to see how strategies are formulated at functional level. Before we begin with our today's lecture, let's have a quick recap of what we had done in our previous 6th lecture. We started with the concept of strategy, where we understood that winning strategies are actually taking place without fighting brutally. They are making use of their intellectual ability, they are using their psychological tactics in order to create a distinctive position in the market and creating a cutthroat competition among the rivals and the competitors. Strategies are of 3 different levels: the corporate strategy, business strategy, and functional strategy. Today we will try to discuss the 3rd level strategy, that is the functional strategy. But before to this, let me also remind you that we had talked about the corporate governance. Corporate governance focus upon coming up with transparency, accountability, and ethical behavior at the level of the strategist, because the one who is setting the strategy for the organization is setting the tone for the entire organization. This is how the entire organization is going to function or work. But if in case the strategists are not ethically correct, do you think they will be able to come up with a good strategy which is going to be useful or going to create a positive impact upon the society? Answer is no. So the strategist has to be ethically correct, and the person should have a fair understanding about the corporate governance and ethical behavior before taking a call of coming up with the strategies. Then next we talk about that you cannot frame strategy without having an understanding of environment. There in that case, we highlighted the importance of assessment of the environment, external as well as the internal. External environment is going to be analyzed via pestle analysis and 5 forces spotters model. Outcome is in the form of list of opportunities and the threat. And when we analyze the internal environment, we analyze with the help of the 3 important parameters: resource, structure, and culture. And under the resource, we got to know there are different techniques which organization must be using, like VRIO model, value chain analysis. All these things are going to result you in the form of the list of strength and weakness of the organization. Once you are ready with the list of strength and weakness and opportunity of threats, now you can take a decision about your organization, that how your strengths are matching with the opportunities. Then in the next lecture, we talk about the strategy formulation via corporate strategy level. Then in the previous to this lecture, we talk about the formulation of a strategy with the help of the business strategies, right? So business strategies are formulated keeping in mind the outcome of the SWOT analysis, pestle analysis, and 5 force spotters model. These were the 3 essential frameworks were taken into consideration. But merely having the understanding of those framework is not going to pave your way. You at a middle level manager position, you might not be having a fair idea of vision, mission. Then you will not be able to come up with the better business strategies of the organization. So you at a middle level manager also have to have a fair understanding of the vision, mission, and objective of the organization, which are created and set by the top level people in the corporate strategy itself. Then further, very important aspect, there may be certain areas where you are weak. But does that mean that by having a weak position in a particular area, you should suppress the possibility of entering into those areas? Answer is no. You can go for strategic alliance, you can go for joint venture, you can go for merger, you can go for acquisition. There are different other ways through which you can expand your business and can try your luck in other areas as well. So this is all what we had discussed so far. Now in today's lecture, we will see how functional level people, or the people working at an operational level, and these people are the most important people. Why? Because this is the place where strategy fails. Why strategy fails? because most of the strategies failed at their execution. None of the strategy is a poor strategy. All the strategies are the good strategy, and we as an organization always try to select the best strategy. But do you really think that it is possible for every best strategy to be executed in the same way that it was expected? Answer is no, because lot of glitch, lot of problem arise at its execution level, which is at functional level. So let's quickly have a look at the learning objective of today's session. And in this lecture, we will be trying to focus on understanding the role of functional strategy in supporting overall business strategies and achieving organizational goal. Because the purpose of functional strategy is not to come up with anything new. Their job is to really understand what is expected from them to be performed by the business level people. The next, we will try to understand that developing and how to evaluate different strategic scenario to anticipate future opportunities and challenges in the business environment. Third, by the end of this lecture, you will be also able to understand how to apply the step of environment scanning, strategy formulation, evaluation to make informed strategic decision using feasibility, suitability, acceptability criteria. So let's dive deep into it and try to see how functional strategies are really going to pave your way to make the execution of your strategy successful. Functional strategy refers to the strategic initiative undertaken by different functional areas like marketing, operation, HR, finance to support and align with the broader corporate and business strategies. The purpose or the relevance is to translate corporate goal into specific action in each function. Dear student, I must tell you that none of the organization is having a potential to really get failed in the execution. They have invested heavily in creating a best strategy. You must be seeing in our previous lecture, so far we were working so hard to make you understand that how difficult it is to really reach to the position that this particular strategy we will be executing in the organization. Once it is done that this particular strategy we will be executing in the organization, most of the failure usually happen in the execution because functional level people fail to perceive the intensity of the business strategies or the corporate strategy. And in order to overcome this problem, you have to really make the functional level people understand that what exactly is expected them to perform. There might be some ambiguity, there might be some issues, they are not very much clear about their roles and responsibility. So at a functional level people, they should have a clarity, what are my roles and responsibility? And if the roles and responsibilities are well defined and well curated, the possibility of execution failure will be very low. So if the corporate strategy is to grow the market share, the marketing function will focus on customer acquisition and retention. So if you are targeting, if you are trying to create the corporate strategy that we want a market share to increase, then in that case what you have to see, you have to set the roles and responsibility of the marketing department. You have to fix the roles and responsibility of marketing department in terms of that how you will be catering the customer acquisition, how retention strategies are going to take place in the organization. So marketing department roles and responsibility, once it will be defined, it can be of great use for you to really attain the purpose of growing in the market share. While operation may focus upon improving the efficiency and the scaling of the production, because if you want to expand your market, if you want to increase your market share, the quantity of product demanded is going to also increase. So you have to scale up your production also. You have to see, do you have a sufficient machinery with you? You have to see whether you have a sufficient manpower with you or not. All these questions are going to be ask well in advance the moment you got to know that you are aspiring to increase the market share. So these two areas have to have a clarity of their roles and responsibility. If these two departments of the organization are not having a clarity that what exactly is expected them to perform, then do you think the strategy can be executed well? Answer is no. So this is the main area where strategy can either be successfully executed or it can fail also. So if you want to avoid the failure of the execution of a strategy, you need to see what all different departments are going to get affected by the action or by the strategy which you have created. As in case of this corporate strategy, we can see that we want to grow the market share. We can clearly see the marketing department and operation department are the two major areas which are going to get directly affected, and we should have the focus approach in order to define their roles and responsibility so that the execution can take place very smoothly in the organization. Next is your components of the functional strategy. Like what are the different areas of the functional strategy? One is your marketing area, right? They will be focusing on what? The product development, pricing strategies, customer targeting, and the branding. These are the few of the area of the marketing department. Apart from that, they are also working on other area. Like another very prominent area is the operation department. Their function is to process the optimization, supply chain management, cost control, technology adaptations, right? So they will be focusing on adoption of the technology, how swiftly they can adopt the technology. If they are not very swift in adoption of technology, do you think in the current scenario when technology is advancing at a very fast pace, operation of your company can survive and sustain? For sure, the answer is no. Then you have to develop your department which is so agile to accept the advancements of the technology. The next is your finance department. Finance department like capital budgeting, financial forecasting, investment strategy, managing cash flow. All these things are going to come under the finance department. Then another department or the function is your human resource. Human resource is taking care of the talent management, employee engagement, leadership development, performance management. So once your HR department is getting a call from the operation department that there is a need of a manpower, what HR person would be doing? HR person will try to see whether we can make use of the existing manpower to utilize them fully, and then with that we can overcome the possibility of hiring or recruitment costs. If the HR person got to know that no, we cannot make the further extension in the roles and responsibility of the existing manpower, we should go for fresh or new hiring, then in that case they will start focusing on talent acquisition. They'll start finding that from where they can hire the required talent for a particular job description. Information technology, that is system implementation, digital transformation, cyber security, data analytics, these are the major departments of any organization. Apart from this could be a procurement department, logistic department, right? So the legal department also, this which is taking care of the legal law and order of a particular country, because most of the foreign countries are not well versed with the law and order of a foreign country. So in that case they used to hire the people who are taking care of the law and order. So all these different departments of the particular organization, do you think they can work in isolation? Answer is no. They have to work in coordination, a close coordination. They should communicate and interact with each other quite often. Like in case operation department is realizing the issue of manpower, right? So whom they are going to talk to? They are going to straight away talk to the HR department that, yeah, this is your concern area. We are having issues with the manpower. The people are not well trained. So people are not responding. They are not engaged. They are not involving into the work. So then HR person is going to start with the employee engagement exercise. They will work on the leadership development. They will work on some performance management techniques, which is going to create a motivation among people to get involved and engage in the production process. So if you as a department of production, you are realizing some issue related to a manpower, you don't have to keep it with yourself. Rather, you have to bring this into the knowledge of the HR person of your organization. And then further, if a particular operation department is finding that we are lagging in terms of advancing ourselves in technology, then whom to talk to? Operation department should straight away talk to the IT department of their company, and they are the people who will be conducting some sessions of the workers of the operation department to make them understand that how this new advancement of technology can really help them and can make their process of production easier. So, and the moment marketing department got to know that there is going to be a hike in the demand of a product in the near 6 months or maybe 1 year, then marketing department should inform the operation department that there is going to be a possibility of hike in the demand of the product. And if they are not informing the operation department, the organization may miss the opportunity of grabbing the demand hike. Your competitors may take the advantage of it. So the moment marketing department, because marketing people are the one who are really in the market, they are serving with they are moving along with the customer, they are sensing the nerves of the customer, they are seeing how customers are responding to different product, they are seeing how competitors are creating a difference in the mind of the customer. So they are the people who can give you the fair idea that whether the customer is liking your product or not, or there will be a hike in the demand of your product or not. So the moment marketing department got to know that in the month of February, I'm sensing that by the end of this year, like December, there will be a huge hike in the demand of our product. So let me inform the operation department that you start gearing up, you start scaling up the production, so that by the month of the December, we will be ready with the required amount of quantity of the product which people may demand. So, and the moment operation department got to know, they have to inform the finance department about raising the required money to them so that they can procure the required raw material. And if they need a new machinery also, if they need a new manpower, accordingly they have to communicate with each other in order to keep the things on track. If you are keeping the information with yourself, that means you are misusing the information, you are killing the possibility of the growth of the company. So if you really want to take the maximum out of the available opportunities, if you really want to take the maximum out of the available options, you have to interact with each other, and you should come up with better solution for each and every department, because it is not only going to affect you as a single department, or it's not only going to affect your organization, it is going to impact the image, overall image, the reputation of the organization in the market, and your competitors may take the edge over you. The next is why functional strategies are important, right? So in our previous lecture, we had already talked about it in a much detail. Now let us try to highlight the furthermore importance of the functional strategy. The first one is the alignment. Alignment, that means functional strategies are meant for aligning the different course of action. As I told you in the previous lecture, the moment you got to know that there is a demand in the market, what you will be doing? You will try to inform the operation department, and the moment operation department got to know that there is a possibility of increasing the production, they have to inform the finance department. So that's how they are trying to align further. As the corporate strategy is to expand or increase the market growth rate, and if it is happening, then you have to really see that how you are going to really make it possible for the organization to attain their target of increasing the market share. So ensure all function contribute toward the overarching corporate strategy. The corporate strategy is to grow the market share. So are we working in that same line of direction or not? This is what you have to see. Further is your coordination. Promote better coordination across the department, reducing the silos, right? So you don't have to have some ego, or you don't have to live in silos that I am doing my best, I am a part of this production department, I don't have to talk to the marketing department, I will not talk to the HR department. So if you are living in your own silos, that means you are killing the opportunity of creating a better position for the organization in the competitive environment. Next is your optimization. Help department make the most of the available resources and the capabilities. So by trying your level best to how optimally you can utilize the resource, how you can minimize the efforts, how you can minimize the consumption of energy, how you can minimize the manpower in the organization, you all have to find out the possible ways how I can minimize the cost. And if you succeed in minimizing the cost, you are not only helping your employer or your boss, you are helping this nature, you are helping the ecological environment, because the resources are scarce in nature. And if you are trying to find out the optimum and best way of reducing the cost, that means you are directly supporting the nature, indirectly your employer may be getting a benefit of reducing the per unit cost. Next is your adaptability. Allow for flexibility in adapting to the market change at a functional level, right? So you have to find out that I should be agile, I should be flexible, we should not be rigid. Those companies who try to be very rigid in their approach, they're not able to survive and sustain in the market. So those who want to really survive and sustain in the market has to be flexible enough, right? If you are flexible towards the adoption of the technology, if you are flexible enough to adopt the environmental changes like economic environment change, like socio-cultural environment change, like political environment change, law and order changes, if you are flexible, you are quick to adapt yourself, that means you are the fastest person and you can gain the competitive advantage in the market as compared to your rivals and your competitors. Now next, moving towards the important element, that is your strategic choice, right? So on what basis you will be taking a strategic choice call? That there are certain parameters which will really help you to take a call on the strategic choices. After the understanding of functional strategy, the next important element, that is your strategic choices. So strategic choice is a decision making process where an organization evaluate different strategies and select the most appropriate course of action. So is it always possible for an organization to go for the best strategy? Answer is again no. You cannot afford to have a best strategy all the time. Why? Because there may be certain things which is best for you, may not be best for me, because my feasibility, suitability, acceptability criteria are absolutely different from the criteria of yours. So if you want me to take the call on the strategy, I will be taking a call on a strategy based on my feasibility, suitability and acceptability. What is feasible to me, whatever is suitable to me, whatever is acceptable to me is going to be best for me, may not be best for the other person or the other company. So strategic choice is a decision making process where organization evaluate different strategy and select the most appropriate course of action, and the most appropriate means the thing which is best for me may not be best for you. If any organization try to imitate what others are doing, if anyone is trying to imitate what others are doing, then there is a possibility you may not be able to function well. And if you try to do what you can do best, there is a possibility then you can flourish or grow in the market. Now the context of understanding of the strategic choice in uncertain complex business environment, company face multiple options, right? There are a lot of options coming up to the company, and out of those multiple options, which particular option to be selected, it become a real buzzing issue for the organization to take the call. The strategic choice help them identify which path align best with their long-term objectives. And then the next is for achieving the objective, achieve competitive advantage, sustainability, aligning with the core values. That goes without saying that when you, for what reason you are choosing the strategy, for what reason you are selecting the best strategy out of the various options. For sure, you want to gain the competitive advantage, you want to get an edge over your competitor, you want to get an edge over your rivals, you want to sustain in the market, you want to be in the market for longer span of the time, you want to align your business with the core values of your organization. So when you are taking a call of selecting one particular strategy out of the multiple options, you are doing it for gaining the competitive advantage, you are doing it for achieving your position in the market or sustaining in the market, and for attaining your core values of the organization. Now let us try to see what are the different roles of the strategic choice, right? First is sustaining competitive advantage. If you want to sustain in the market for longer span of the time, you have to have a better choice in your hand. You have to have a strategy which none other person could even thought of coming up with. So the strategic choice help organization define how to position themselves in the marketplace. For example, the cost leadership and the differentiation. So this what we had discussed in our previous lecture also, that when you are taking a decision whether to go for a cost leadership or to go for a differentiation, you have to see, are we moving in a broad market? If the market is not broad, then do you think you will be able to sustain in the market for longer span of the time? Answer is no. So when you are taking a decision of taking either of the cost leadership or differentiation, market size should be large. Market size should be large. It should be the mass market. And if you are opting for a focus strategy like the cost focus or the differentiation focus, in all these cases, you can look for a niche market, maybe a niche market or a narrower market. So when you are selecting a strategy, again you have to see one very important element is I am dealing in a mass market or I am dealing in a niche market. If I am dealing in a mass market, then these two strategies can help me. And then again I have to see what kind of R&D department I have. So if I am having a very good R&D department, highly skilled scientists, and the survey units and the data analysts are there, then you can think of going for the differentiation. But if your R&D is weak and still you are going for the differentiation, then do you think you will be able to come out with the product with the distinct features? Answer is no. So in that case you have to look for the cost leadership instead of going for the differentiation, just for the sake that every next company is coming up with differentiation strategy, just for the sake that my competitors and rivals are having the good R&D lab, let me also start doing the differentiation, is not going to pave your way. You have to see your own capacities, you have to see your own core competencies, you have to see your strength area, and based on your strength area, your core competencies, your capabilities, you have to take a decision whether I can take a charge of a cost leader, being a leader, or I should take a charge of being a differentiator in the market. But the market size should be mass. If the market size is small, then you have to take a call whether to go for the cost focus or to go for the cost differentiation. When you are going for a cost focus, then in that case you can have the average workers in the organization, but when you are taking a call of a focus differentiation, you need to have highly skilled manpower. If highly skilled manpower is not there, then in that case focus differentiation is not at all going to pave your way. So while taking sustainability comparative advantage call and selecting a strategy, either the cost leadership strategy or a differentiation focus cost or differentiation focus, you have to take a fair understanding that what I can do, not merely that what others are doing. Next is your risk management, that helps to minimize the risk by considering the various future scenarios, right? Apart from understanding your strength area, your key areas, you should always strive to improve your gray areas. Merely accepting, it is good that you have accepted that these are my weaknesses. You have accepted that there are certain list of things which are my weaknesses. Okay, good, you have accepted it. But are you preparing yourself for the risk? If you are accepting, it's okay. But are you trying to overcome them? And if you are trying to work upon them, you are trying to reduce from 3, you try to cut it off 4, you try to cut it off 2, and now you are left with only 1 or 3, this level of the weakness, that means you are managing yourself for attaining the uncertainties. Otherwise, if you are holding those weaknesses for long, you are somewhere creating a risk for your own organization. So one thing everyone should admit, that accepting weakness is very good. You are understanding that these are not your core areas, and despite of understanding those core area, you are not taking a decision of entering into another area. You are very much focused and very determined and very clear that this is the area which I can do, this is the area which I cannot do. But you have to reduce the percentage of this area. Suppose the quadrant size of your strength and weakness, suppose this is your weakness and this is your strength, the quadrant size of weakness is very big and the strength size is very small. You should rather try to increase the size of the strength and reduce the quadrant of the weakness, right? So you have to really work on increasing the size of the strength, and that's how you manage the risk. Otherwise you won't be able to manage the risk. Next is coming the resource allocation. Resource allocation is talking about how you are directing the resources or how you are allocating the resources to different departments of your organization. So lot of time it is observed that procurement department have procured the raw material, but they are not sanctioning it to the required department. Then what is the use of procuring the raw material in the procurement department? For whom you have actually procured the raw material, you should allocate to the right person so that the effective utilization of the resource can take place. By stocking it in the inventory, do you think is going to give you any results? Answer is no. But just for the sake of hassling the life of the other people, people usually don't sanction the material to the other department. It is not happening from the level of the top management people. Top management people has given the fund and budget to the procurement department to procure the required material. But these are the people who are at the ground level. They are unnecessarily acting as a boss and they are unnecessarily acting as a miser person. They are trying to save and secure the material and try to get some numbers from the top management that this year we able to save this much of stationery, this year we able to save this much of material, but it is of no use. It is of no use. Seriously, you should allocate the resources. The efficiency of the outcome of the department is going to get enhanced, but this is missing at a ground level. So the strategic choice is also going to help you to understand which particular raw material, which particular technology, which particular essential equipment, which particular equipment or the raw material or maybe some elements or other stuff is needed by one particular department, and how it is going to be utilized by them. All clarity comes with the help of the strategic choice. Next is the innovation. The strategic choice also help in coming up with some more innovative ways of doing the same job. It encourages the thinking, it encourages the flexibility in the organization. As a whole, the different choices which you are taking in the organization is going to pave your way to find out that how I can do the things in a better way than as compared to the previous time. So this is going to motivate the innovation in the organization. Now let us try to see the different criteria for the selection of the strategy. The first criteria is a feasibility. So feasibility assess whether the strategy is realistic, achievable or not. So first thing comes first in the mind, whatever we are thinking to select, is it feasible, is it realistic, is it achievable in terms of available resource, capabilities and the existing constraint. So is it going to be acceptable by my organization or not? Now the key considerations which are going to come under the strategic choice under this criteria of feasibility, that does organization have the financial resource to implement the strategy? If answer is yes, that means it is realistic, it is achievable. If answer is no, then this is not possible. So you have to see whether you have a sufficient fund with yourself or not to make the strategic choice realistic and achievable. If you don't have money, do you think you will be able to execute the strategy in the organization? Answer is no. No matter how realistic it is, how achievable it is, but you don't have the money, what is the use of that? Then you have to find out whether you can raise the fund or not. Another key considerations are operational capabilities like technology, workforce skills, infrastructure in place to support the strategy. So you need to see whether you have a machinery in place, you have the raw material in place, you have a required technology, you have a required infrastructure, required manpower in place or not to really make this strategy executable. Or if the answer is coming yes, then this is the good to go kind of a strategy. If answer is coming no, then you have to find out how you can improve it, how you can improve this, right? And then next is the strategy logistically feasible considering the company's current position in the market? So whatever the current position of the market is it going to add some features, additional things to the organization? Suppose if my market share is maybe 11.2%, is it going to increase my market position from 11.2% to maybe 11.8%? No matter how trivial it is, but it is going to add some value to my market share. Then if it is the case, then it is going to be a feasible choice. A company might want to expand internationally, but if it lacks the financial resource, technology, infrastructure, supply chain to support the expansion, the strategy would not be considered to be feasible. So what is going to be feasible for you? The things which you can really afford in the organization. If the things which you cannot afford in the organization is not going to be feasible, no matter my competitors or rivals can do so, they cannot they are having a setup, they are having an infrastructure, or they are having a technological system which can support them to execute certain strategy, but for me it is not possible. I have to look for some other strategy in that case. Now let's move to the next important aspect in terms of the selection criteria of a particular strategy is a suitability. So suitable. Now suitable whether the strategy align with the organizational goal, objective or external environment or not. This is what I told you in the previous lecture also, that when you are fixing the business strategy for your organization, what you have to see the alignment of business strategy with what? Vision, mission and objectives of the organization, the overall goals and objective of the organization, and the external environment, that is your SWOT matrix, your PESTEL analysis, and your 5 forces of Porter's model. All these things should align. If these things are not aligned, that means there is going to be a executional problem. So you have to see the suitability, you have to see whether it is as per the current trend or not, because the outcome is going to give you the fair idea about the trends in the market, right? And you have to see whether these trends are easy to be attained by the vision of this organization or not, mission of this organization or not, objective of this organization or not. Say for example, you are running an organization where you are producing the consumer electronics and you are seeing there is a lot of opportunity of e-vehicles. Do you think these two things can match together? You are producing a maybe consumer electronic product, like suppose television, you are producing a television, you are manufacturer of a television, and you are seeing the opportunity of EVs. Are you going to incorporate this opportunity in your organization? There is no match. No matter the Tesla is doing it, big companies like Tesla, Tata Motors, they are doing it, but you are not a e-vehicle manufacturer, you are not into automobile sector, you are into the sector of a consumer electronic, you tends to remain in the consumer electronic. There is no match between the opportunity which you are seeing and the kind of product you are manufacturing, no matter the trend is there. So you have to see some alignment. What is the vision of your organization? What is the mission of your organization? What is the objective of your organization? And then see whether this trend is matching with your requirement or not. So you have to focus on the relevant information, the information which is related to the television sector, or the television companies, or the different companies which are manufacturing the different style of the television. It should be related to it, rather than grabbing the information which is not related to your consumer electronics, right? So the key consideration: does the strategy address the key issues and opportunity identified in the external environment, like the market trend or the competitors' activities? All these things are going to come under the suitability aspect. So the next is, does it align with the company's long-term objective and the corporate mission? So this is what I told you in the very beginning itself, that whatever the suitability parameter you are fixing for your own organization, that it is going to be suitable for my organization because it matching with the current trend or the requirement of the customer, it should align with the mission of the company, mission, that is the reason of existence. If it is not aligned, that means you are trying to come up with the product which is not matching with the reason of existence of a company, and then there is going to be a very shallow possibility that this can be executed. For if you really want to come up with this product, then in that case you have to create a new infrastructure, you have to create a new setup, new mission, new vision of the organization if you want to get into this way. This way is also possible by adopting the conglomerate growth strategy. But as far as the existing setup is concerned, if it is not aligned, you cannot go for the kind of a product which is not matching with the vision, mission of the organization. Next is the strategy appropriate for industry, environment and the competitive landscape. That whatever the strategy you are going to execute, you have to keep in mind one very thing, that is the corporate governance, and you have to ensure, apart from the corporate governance, you have to ensure what? The next important aspect is the sustainability. Ethics are going to be taken care here, transparency is going to be taken care here, and one more very important aspect, that is who is going to be held accountable if anything happened wrong in the organization. Sustainability talks about that it should not harm the environment, not harm the environment, and if this kind of approach is there, then your organization sustainability is also going to be possible. Otherwise you will also not be able to sustain. After all, you are serving the society, after all you are using the resources of the nature of this country, and if you are not making the effective utilization of the resources will exhaust, and the moment resources will exhaust, do you think you will be able to function well? Do you think you will be able to produce product? And do you think the customer will be buying from such company who are exhausting the resources unnecessary, creating a harmful impact upon the environment? Answer is no. So for checking the suitability, let us take an example. If a company is in the declining industry and the growth focused strategy might not be suitable, in such a case the strategy focusing on cost leadership and the market consolidation must be more appropriate. So if your company is on the declining stage, in the previous lecture we talk about if your industry is going down and there is a stage of a decline, after the maturity you have reached to the decline stage, at this point of time you are not supposed to come up with anything new in the market because you cannot take much of the risk. So ideally you should focus on what? The market consolidation. You should try to get the profits from the market and try to see how you can gain the cost leadership in the market, because you are about to get decline in the market. So these two aspects can help you to survive and sustain, otherwise you won't be able to survive because you are unnecessarily creating more risk in your organization, right? So after suitability, the next another aspect comes, which is your acceptability, right? So the things which are feasible is talking about financial ability, suitability is talking about the current trends and the market, and now finally the acceptability. Acceptability is going to come from the side of the infrastructure of a company, like acceptability focus on the stakeholder response to the strategy, particularly in terms of the risk and the return, right? So is it going to be acceptable by the general stakeholder or the society or the people who are associated with my organization or the infrastructure which I am having in my organization? Is it going to incorporate this particular strategy swiftly, or I have to come up with the massive changes in my infrastructure to incorporate this particular strategy? So stakeholder reaction you have to be taken into account. Will key stakeholder, for example your shareholder, employees, customer, are they going to really support this kind of a strategy, or they are going to show some resistance? If resistance is there, then you have to rethink about the possibilities of the execution, or you have to really convince them to help in execution of the strategy. So stakeholder reaction is going to be of utmost importance. You have to see, or you have to sense out whether your stakeholder are going to accept what you are willing to offer to them. If answer is coming no, then you have to see how you are going to work on it. You have to rethink, you try to redesign, or you relook at your options and try to come up with better applications of the strategy, so that the stakeholder also feel convinced to accept what you are coming up with. Next, you have to see what the risk and reward, right? Does the strategy provide an acceptable balance between the potential returns and the risk? Without ROI, do you think would you like to work? Answer is no. Everyone is looking for the returns of whatever the investments they have made. So if they are not getting the required returns on the investment, what is the use of putting so much of efforts in the market? So under this risk and reward, what do you have to see? That whatever the money I am going to put or pour into it, will I be able to get the returns? So you will be checking your payback period, how long it will take me to get the returns of the investment. You also have to check the time value of money, right? You have to see the inflation, how inflation is going to impact upon this particular project. So all such calculations are very important before taking a final decision of selecting one strategy. Another thing is the profitability and the risk. If the strategy leads to financial return that satisfy the stakeholder, while managing the risk is the way to really be acceptable to them. So profitability and the risk, what is a trade-off, right? So you have to calculate the trade-off of your company before taking a call that this particular strategy I am going to accept. Strategy that promise high growth but carry significant risk must be acceptable, because higher the risk, higher the return. This is a well-known concept, right? Higher the risk, higher the possibilities, right? 100% it is not going to happen. You need to be very vigilant also. It is not always going to be possible that I am taking a riskiest thing, so I will be getting the highest return. No, answer is no. But those people who are really taking a risk and they are really curating the risk in such a manner that can lead to higher returns. But you have to be strategically correct, right? This is under the code. You have to be strategically correct. The terms and conditions are attached to the statement also. merely taking a risk is not going to pave your way, but it has been seen by and large, larger the risk, higher the return is. But it has to be well crafted, it has to be well drafted, it has to be taken care of on the various parameters and the factors. Strategy that promise high growth but carry the significant risk might be acceptable to investor looking for higher returns, but less so to the stakeholder interested in the stability. So in most of the cases we have seen the stakeholders are more interested in the stability because they really don't want to take the risk, because when you are taking a risk, the money of the stakeholder is also at the stake, right? So you want your most of the stakeholders don't want their top management to take any sort of the risk, because they are in fear if something happened wrong, their returns will also be at question. So stakeholder will always be pulling you back, but if you are very firm and very clear that these results are going to pave your way, then you should take the call and you should move on with your course of action. Then there are some examples of the feasibility, suitability and acceptability, and let us try to dive deep into it and understand the utility. The tech company evaluating a new product launch, like company assess whether it has a technology, supply chain, financial resources to produce and the market the new product. This is going to come under the feasibility. That means there are certain things which are feasible for me. Feasible for me is that I can afford, right? And what are those things which I can afford? Because my existing financial system, my financial resources, I don't have to raise much or I don't have to borrow much. With the existing available fund or from the cash cow product, I can get some money which is going to really help me to come up with this new selection of the strategy. So company assess whether it has a technology, it has a supply chain, financial resources to produce and market the new product. If answer is coming yes, then it is going to be your feasible strategy. Next is your suitability. So under this suitability, the company consider whether the new product fits and with its overall strategy, whether it is address a gap or there is some gap in the demand. So will it be able to address those gaps in the market or not? If the answer is yes, then this is suitable for me. Like suitability is also on the basis of the current trend. As I told you in my previous slide, that suitability is not just about the trends in the market, it is also about understanding the vision of the organization, mission of the organization, objective of the organization, having the proper understanding of the framework outcome like SWOT, PESTEL and 5 forces Porter model. Then only you will be in a position to take a call whether this is suitable for me or not. And then finally you are coming up with the acceptability criteria, that is company evaluate whether the expected returns justify the risk involved and whether the stakeholder, investors or the customer etc. are likely to accept the strategy or not. In most of the cases what we have observed that higher the risk, higher the return is. But do you really think stakeholders are going to allow you to take the risk? Answer is no. So if risks are high, stakeholders are going to be very much cautious. They are not going to allow you to take the risk because they are not 100% clear that will you be able to really attain the target in time or not. So they have a fear of losing the invested money. They have a fear of losing the interest which right now they are earning. So they always try to demotivate the people of those who are taking the call of accepting the new strategy. But if you are 100% sure and you have a well curated or drafted strategy in your hand and you are very much confident about it and you know how to execute it, you should take a call and should move ahead after convincing your stakeholders. So these are the 3 essential elements has to be taken into account while selecting the strategy. So once this strategy is selected based on the parameters like feasibility, suitability, acceptability, the strategic choice selection process is over. But now the process of functional strategy is still left to be completed. Now let's have a quick understanding of the different scenario for selecting the strategic choice, right? So there are certain scenarios based on the feasibility, suitability, acceptability, and previous to that lecture we were talking about the functional strategy. Now we are going to merge the two things together, the functional strategy and these parameters for the selection of strategy. Now it is going to come under the constructing scenarios in the strategic choice. Now you have to create a scenario. This technique involves creating multiple possible situations like future scenarios to anticipate market shift, technological advancement and other uncertainties, right? Because you are not 100% sure that whatever is happening in the market is going to happen in the same manner. There may be some glitches, there may be some risk, there may be some problem in the market. So you as a person who is handling the entire business or the organization, you have to have some scenario planning. You have to have some understanding that how you will be really helping your organization to pass through all the tough time, because it's not always going to be possible that you will be having a good time, you will be always having a favorable situation, you will always be having a support from the side of government. There may be a situation where you may not be getting any support from the government, where you may not be able to understand the customer requirement, or where you come up with tough competition or the cutthroat competition where the rivals are creating a wholesome situation for you. So how you are going to help your organization to pass through that tough phase? For this you need to have some scenario planning. And this is the reason why it is important, because it prepares the organization for the range of potential future, reducing the impact of unforeseen disruption. So you try to mitigate the risk, you try to foresee what may happen in the organization and how you will be handling such a grey time or the tough time of your organization. You try to reserve certain resources for those unforeseen situations or the contingencies of the organization. Now let's take an example, like a technology company may develop scenario based on change in regulatory environment, economic conditions and the competition. So you have to foresee that if there will be a change in the regulatory system or the law and order, what I will be doing, right? So you must have a legal advisor in your organization. Maybe on a contractual basis you can ask the person to assist you and guide you about the changes which are taking place in the law and order, whatever the amendments took place in the Company Act, whatever the amendment took place in Payment of Wages Act, Employee Provident Fund or the gratuity, different law and order, very frequently different amendments are taking place. So you must be well versed with the regulatory environment, otherwise you may miss out with the opportunities to encash the opportunity of attracting the employees in your organization. Suppose you are a very good paymaster but you don't know how to project it, right? So if you know how to really project this with the help of a law and order of the Payment of Wages or the minimum wages or the Provident Fund or the gratuity or the Compensation Act, so there are multiple labor laws are there, and if you are already following it and you have a fair idea about the law and order, you can understand that how you are going to project yourself in the mind of a customer or in the mind of a stakeholder, particularly the employees and the potential employees, that what kind of employer I am, and this will attract the people towards your organization. Highly skilled manpower can be in cash, and this will also attract you your organization to help you to attain the required manpower in the organization. Further, the economic conditions and the competition level. So if you are well versed about the economic condition, you will got to know about the purchasing power parity, you come to know that what is the consumption level of my country, right? So all these things will help you to design that how much I should invest in R&D to come up with the product. Will they be able to pay this much amount of money for the product which I am offering? Will they find some utility after purchasing my product or not? And you have to assess the competition also, because until unless you have an understanding of different competition level, on what basis you will be creating the scenario. So for creating the scenario, you have to have a fair understanding of the competition level. There are certain steps in constructing the scenario. One is identifying the critical issues, like focus on the key drivers of the change, right, like technology disruption, geopolitical event and the societal shift. Determine uncertainties, like understand what is uncertain but crucial for the organization future. Further, you have to understand, create the divergent scenarios, like different range of future state being based on the various assumption. Further, you have to understand that how it is going to impact, and that impact analysis is very important, because it is going to help you to evaluate how each scenario affect the organization goal, strategy and the risk. So these are the certain steps which one can take in order to create the scenario for the organization, right? And there are certain examples of construction of the best scenario, like the best case or the worst case and the most likely case. So these could be the three different set of the scenario one organization can create for themselves in advance. If anything is going to happen very good for my organization, what I will be doing. If anything worse happen to my organization, what I will be doing. If anything is happening which is more or less similar to what I am doing these days, then what I will be doing. So in case of a best case, if something happened very good for your organization, then rapid adoption of AI technology in the industry lead to high growth opportunities. So this kind of a scenario you have created for yourself. If anything happened good, you will be doing this, right? If in case something worse is going to happen, then new regulation creates significant barrier to market entry and create the operational cost for your organization. This could be the another scenario for you. And the most likely, the moderate technology progress and stable market condition. So these are the certain ways through which you can have the set of understanding of this different scenarios of your own organization, and you have the possibility to really streamline the different course of action of the people working in your organization by fixing different scenario of different style, like best case, most likely case and the worst case. So dear student, let's have a quick recap of what we had done today. In today's lecture, we will try to understand the functional strategies and how functional strategy align with the specific department like marketing department, operation department, HR department. We also got to know about the finance department, procurement department, logistic department, right, with the broader organizational goal to ensure coherence and efficiency in achieving these different objectives. Further in this lecture, we try to understand that how important is to construct the scenario which help business anticipate various future outcomes, enabling proactive strategy formulation and adaptability to the changing environment. In this lecture, we also try to understand what are the different steps to be taken care of while you are selecting a particular strategy, which involve the proper scanning of the environment, formulation of the strategic alternative, evaluating them based on the feasibility, suitability, acceptability, and selecting the most appropriate strategy for the long-term success. Here, none of the company is going to opt for the best strategy. The company are going to opt for a strategy which is feasible to them, suitable to them, acceptable to them, and the thing which is feasible, suitable, acceptable is going to be best for them, may not be best for the other person. So feasibility is talking about the affordability, suitability is talking about the current trends, and acceptability is talking about the existing infrastructure. Do I need to invest additional money for incorporating this particular strategy or not? Once you get the answer of it, that particular strategy will act as a best and super best strategy for my organization, no matter or irrespective of the fact that this is trivial strategy for my competitors or the rival. So with these words, let me say thanks to you for paying attention and listening to this lecture. For further reading, you can refer to this book of Charles W.L. Hill, that is the 13th edition on strategic management. Thank you for today.